Welcome to All Things Financial with Jack Driscoll. Each week, Jack takes on all things you thought were hard to understand about your finances and makes it fun, easy, but most of all interesting. From insurance to the best way to save your money and squeeze the most out of the dollars you put aside for your rainy day. And now, you have a friend in the money business. Here's your host, Jack Driscoll.
Welcome back again, everyone, to another edition of All Things Financial. Today, I'm going to speak to you business owners. I'm going to speak to business owners because most financial planners have a certain segment of clients, but I am facing some of the issues that you business owners have today. Whether small business owners or large business owners, you have so many different issues on your plate. And I understand those because I'm a business owner. So when I counsel business owners, I'm looking at all of the different avenues of either opportunities or risks the same way as you do. So I wanted to first start with a lot of the different perils in insurance because I get a lot of questions about how do we shop for insurance? Are we paying too much for insurance, especially for business owners? Because those packages can be so complex. You know, it's different than a homeowner's or a car insurance policy because they're packaged policies. A homeowner's policy is basically a packaged policy. It has most of the core coverages already built in. An automobile policy, it's a packaged policy. And business owners, they don't enjoy that same luxury of having packaged policies. It's a la carte. So what happens to a business owner is most business owners like yourselves don't know how to shop for their business insurance. So it boils down to just price. You normally have an agent come in and they'll say, let us look at your policies and we'll see if we can beat your price. And so you'll give them the policies and they'll try to beat your price. For all of you business owners listening, stop. That is probably the worst way for you because what's more interest to you, that you are paying the cheapest price for your insurance or that you have the right coverages if something goes wrong, that you don't lose your business? We have cases every year in my agency because we do property casualty insurance for business owners. And when we go out and review a person's account, what we first do is we evaluate the business, the risks that you have that you don't even know you have as a business owner, and try to help you package together a tailored program that protects you against the risks that you have and maybe didn't even know. Let me give you an example. On your business insurance, you sit and don't even think about business insurance, and you have an associate or an assistant or a secretary or a receptionist, and you say, hey, run down and pick up everybody lunch. We're having a meeting in-house today. They come back, they're in an accident, it's in their own car, on their own time, on their own lunch hour. Are you covered? Because is it possible that if they hurt someone out on the road and injured someone, paralyzed someone, or killed someone in that car accident, or heaven forbid they themselves got killed in a car accident, could it come back onto the business owner? Even if you didn't ask them to go out. But especially because you did. Is it possible that it could fall back on the business owner? And then you say, is it possible that you may not have coverage for that and could lose your whole business simply through an oversight because the question was never asked? Or how about this one? A customer's account gets compromised by hackers and it traces back to your record keeping. And I don't mean your charge card receipt going to the charge company. I know what you're all thinking. We're not liable for that. It goes through we're supposed to be hold harmless. The credit bureau or the credit card vendors say that any transactions, they'll take risk. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that you have information on your files and a disgruntled employee or a cleaning person in your office overnight got a hold of something. Maybe an application on an account. And their information got compromised and it's traced back to you. Maybe a group of clients or customers' information got compromised. Here's the issue. Is it a big issue? Yeah, it could be real big. Could it put you out of business? Maybe not, but it might handicap you financially. You might be hiring attorneys, paying attorneys to try to defend you and also protect those customers. You may get fined for not having proper protection for clients' accounts and private confidential information. Well, is it possible to buy insurance coverage to take that risk from you? Absolutely, folks. How about this? When you get it, so now when you see an agent come in and you say, I'm price shopping, I want you to continue to go back to my original message on this show today and say, wait a minute, do I have the right coverages? Has anyone ever even really tailored coverages to my needs? In fact, has anyone even sat and asked me all these questions? Has anyone that's come in here to try to shop my insurance ever sat for a half hour and asked me pertinent questions about my business to try to even identify risks that I might have and I'd want covered for if I only knew about it? Well, the answer is usually no, and guess why? Because you, the business owner, said, I don't have time. So it falls on your shoulders typically, not even the agent's shoulders. Shame on them for not asking, which they're not in most cases. If you get someone that comes in and says, I want to review all your coverages and I want to read all your papers, let them. They're probably looking out for your best interest. And if they say, I'd like to meet with you for a half hour and take your time and evaluate your coverages to see if you're properly covered, let them. They're doing you a service. Yes, they're trying to get your business, but they're also trying to service you if they're asking those type of questions. Here's another one. You get into a situation where you have employee dishonesty, you have employee theft, you have lawsuits for discrimination. All of those things you're able to be covered for. How about you folks that have 401k plans for your employees or any plan that you're deemed to be a fiduciary? Well, what happens there? This is a big risk. ERISA is the one who lays down all the responsibilities for retirement plans. And a 401k program is an ERISA program, ERISA. Well, what happens is you, as the 401k plan administrator, are not only the plan administrator, but the fiduciary of the plan. Here's the problem. Can you be sued by an employee or even the heir of an employee because the markets went down? Now, you have no control over the markets, but could you be sued because the markets went down and they lost money? There are lawsuits right now successfully being won by employees and heirs or spouses of employees that they've lost money in the markets, and the lawsuits have different judgment basis on them. But one of them is, well, there weren't enough options in the plan for my husband or wife or myself to go to for safety when I was uncertain. Or there wasn't enough training on what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, there wasn't enough communication. There wasn't enough this. There wasn't enough that. The bottom line, hey, business owners, is this. If something goes wrong, it's possible you could get sued by your employees because you're trying to do something nice for those employees that backfires. So what you can do is evaluate that you even have the risk. You need a skilled professional to help you identify the risks that you have before they could solve them. We do this in our office. I've shared this many times. You could contact me. I'll come out. I'll do a comprehensive review of your business and your business insurance needs. your business financial planning needs, your business succession needs. As a business owner, you're looking many times at what happens if something happens to me. Is my spouse taken care of? Are my kids taken care of? Is my partner taken care of? Does the business unravel because I get disabled? So there are many risks that a business owner has that we, I'm a comprehensive and certified financial planner, come in and try to resolve, and especially because we're also property and casualty insurance brokers, in addition to financial planners on the investment and business succession side. So we can help tailor comprehensive plans. But getting back to this 401k issue, think about this. When you shop for 401ks, you run into this ERISA fiduciary liability risk that, guess what? An endorsement can be put onto your property casualty insurance program that provides some level of ERISA fiduciary liability coverage. So you can actually buy liability coverage on your commercial property casualty policies that help protect against your 401k or fiduciary liability. How about that? And I know most property casualty agents have not told you that. So business owners, pay attention on this show because I'm addressing your specific needs. Here's another one. Many business owners I know have a workers' compensation insurance program on their employees, but exempt themselves as the business owners from coverage. So you exclude yourselves as business owners. Why? Many times it's because the agent says you can exclude yourself, and since you're a majority of the payroll sometimes, or just a majority of your payroll would increase the premium, you can exclude yourself from your workers' compensation coverage and reduce the workers' comp premium. And I look at that and I say, wait a minute. Do you have the coverages that workers' compensation insurance provides you elsewhere if you exclude yourself from your workers' compensation policy? What that means is, do you have health insurance? Most of you are saying yes. Do you have disability insurance? Because workers' compensation pays income if you're disabled due to a work-related injury. Well, what's a work-related injury? What if it's a heart attack, stress-related back to work? What if it's a bad back related back to work? What if it's a stroke related to stress back to work? What if it's getting in and out of a car on the way to a trade show or a client? Or what if it's a car accident on the way to a client or an appointment or on the way back into the office? Aren't they all potentially work related? Well, in many cases, yes. So you look at your car insurance, does it provide work loss income to pay your bills for the rest of your life? No, they don't typically. Do most business owners have disability income protection? Whether you have a heart attack or a stroke or cancer or anything regarding disability? No, most don't. Some do, but most don't. Do most employers provide group disability insurance plans? Most don't, some do. So the issue for you business owners are, I need you to think twice before you hurriedly exclude yourself from your workers' compensation insurance. Because if you buy those coverages separately, individual disability insurance coverage is expensive. Workers' compensation insurance doesn't cover it all, but it covers a lot of it. So before you run and take yourself off that coverage, I need you to consider, are you already covering yourself individually? And if you are, do you have a disability policy that if you, the business owner, get disabled through any reason, stroke, heart attack, cancer, hurt your back, broke your leg, anything at all, is it permanent disability? Does it pay all of your personal income? Which brings up another question, because a lot of business owners don't take income adequately enough to pay their bills. So that's another question we have to deal with. And what about the case of disability where you might be disabled for only 6 months or 9 months or a year? Who's filling in your shoes at the company? So while you might have disability income to pay your individual home, property taxes, your home expenses, your personal expenses? What about the lost sales that you're making as a business owner, or your duties at the office, that the sales and income and revenues suffer because of your absence, and there's no business possibly 9 months or a year later to go back to? Even though all your personal bills were paid, you still could lose your business. So typically, if you're buying disability insurance as a business owner, you would look at personal disability insurance to pay your personal income bills, and you would be looking at business overhead expense, which is disability income to the business because the owner's disabled. So what you're saying is, I need these business bills paid if I'm disabled because it's my activities that generate the revenue and income for both these business bills. If I'm disabled, that income won't continue temporarily or permanently. And what about if you have a partner and the partner says, or not even a partner, the employees have to hire a replacement for your duties, or you do? Well, the business overhead expense coverage can provide resources, income, to be able to hire a replacement because you were disabled. Well, now we get to, what if there's a fire? Well, if there's a fire and you're out of a location, you need temporary equipment to be able to continue doing your business. If you're not able to conduct business for a temporary period of time, you actually need business interruption coverage on your property casualty package to pay all of your employees, pay your mortgage while you can't make any of your bills until your building gets rebuilt and your equipment gets replaced, if it's a fire or a flood. So now I bring up another question: are you covered for flood? Because we could deal with a fire, which most business owners' packages will cover, but a flood, which most business owners' packages will not cover. And in fact, if you have a lot of equipment and the building is not damaged due to flood, but the equipment is, most businesses do not have their equipment covered on a separate floater. An equipment floater is what we would call it, scheduled equipment, but it's rather, especially if it's attached to the building, permanently attached or bolted to the floors, you'll see it's covered as a part of building. And flood coverage is not included in most business owners' packages. So we run a great deal of risk on flood, where it shuts down the business, we're unable to operate, there goes the income. The employees need to eat. So if you're out of business for 1 month or 3 months, the employees are finding jobs elsewhere. And again, even if you have enough coverage, if it's a fire or whatever, if you don't have enough business income, business interruption coverage, you may not have the employees there by the time you're back 9 months or a year later. So there are a lot of coverages you have to explore. Now, how about this? You have employees and they're going out of state for trade shows, or they're going out of state for sales, or you may even have employees living in other states because you do business in other states. You might find your workers' compensation insurance policy used to cover many states, and here an agent, because you keep shopping for the cheapest price all the time, an agent along the way forgot to include the all states endorsement or the states that you're in. They forgot to ask. They just compared your payroll, the amount of your payroll. They rated the same amount of payroll, and they gave you a cheaper price, and you took it. And you don't find out. You shop every year for your insurance, or every 3 years. You don't find out till 8 or 9 years later. And there's a claim in another state, and you don't have the coverage. And here, tracing back, you lost that coverage 4 or 5 times ago that you shopped, and coverage was replaced, because every agent after that is simply competing against whatever coverages you have now. Again, since many agents just come in and say, show me what you have, I'll try to beat it. I'm going to give you a bit of advice, business owners. When an agent comes in and says, show me the coverages you have right now, I'll try to beat it, I would send them back out the door. I would only want the agents coming into my office or my business, if I was a business owner, saying, I want to spend some time looking at your risks, see if I can help you with better coverages than what you have right now, more tailored to your needs, at maybe the same or better price, or maybe not, maybe even a higher price. Because you may have a business that has evolved over the last 5 years or 8 years, that has outgrown the coverages that used to be applicable and are no longer applicable because your business grew, your business is better, your business is stronger. 5 or 10 years ago, you might have been driving one car and now can afford to drive a better car. Do you see what I mean? So you would look at two cars, and we would look at a, let's say, Hyundai, and then we would look at a Mercedes-Benz. We'd say, if we're shopping for cars, you'd say, I want the same items. They both have a steering wheel, they both have 4 wheels, they both have tires, they both have a front seat and a back seat. They're exactly the same. They all have the same things. So which one's cheaper? Okay, but is that better? So you have to look at quality of the same things, not just quantity. When you look at insurance, most people are looking at quantity of their coverages, but not quality. So when you find an agent, a professional agent coming in saying, you may need higher quality coverages now because you have a higher quality business now than you had 5 or 10 years ago. Let's not start from scratch and design coverages from scratch, because that's also usually incorrect and incomplete. Here's why. One reason why. Along the way, some agent or yourself might have uncovered some coverages that are unique to you that nobody cold off the street would think about ever asking about. So by seeing your policy, they'll say, oh, wait a minute, I see this vacant land over here. What is that? You'll say, oh, yeah, by the way, I have vacant land, or I have storage off location. Nobody'd know that. So let the professional agent see all that you have and keep your ear tuned to the agents coming in with a different song who are saying, I want to help you evaluate all your coverages, see if you have the right coverages, if you program your needs, and in addition, match your coverages or better, doing a comprehensive analysis. And I think you'll be better off as a business owner exploring your needs, not your premiums, as your first concern, and then your premiums as a second concern. All right, folks, we're out of time. I hope some of that helped you on the business owner side. It's very complex. Please give our office a call. We'll come out, do your operations. We'll do a comprehensive review of your needs and help you shop coverages or 401k plans or whatever areas you would like us to get involved with, help you implement better plans that can help your business be much stronger and better protected. Thanks again for tuning in to another edition of All Things Financial. I'll be back again next week.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Inc., member FINRA SIPC, and registered investment advisor. Insurance services offered through Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services Inc., which is not affiliated with SagePoint Financial Inc.